Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today we're going to be looking at villains in the Fire Emblem series to see who might make it into Fire Emblem Engage as rings. I'm not going to call them Emblem rings because I think Emblem ring might be a name really saved for those first 12 that we've seen, you know, the 12 main emblem rings or whatever. And there might just be other rings throughout the game that have different names or called, or they're more simple so they don't have like the emblem title, and maybe they can't do engages or something like that, but they'll still be equipable and be there and be cool, right? So I think villains are definitely going to have rings of some kind, and I think the ones on screen right here have the highest chance of getting in, and I'll explain them when I get to them. But before we get into that, please consider subscribing. Help us reach 25,000 subs. We crossed 18,000 a few days ago, which is awesome. Thank you so much, guys. But let's keep on going. Let's get to 20,000 and 25 after that. We want to get there before the end of the year. So please consider subbing. It would mean a lot to me. All right, now let's talk Fire Emblem, shall we? Let's talk Fire Emblem, shall we? It's kind of what we're here to do, right? Get some Fire Emblem music going. Okay, at 4 tiers. Likely getting in, maybe getting in, probably not getting in, and no, not getting in. And the no doesn't mean they won't, or that I think there is absolutely no possibility, and why are they even on this list at this point, if that's the case, right? The no is more, I think that these have the least likely odds of getting in, despite having a chance, if that makes sense. So no doesn't mean like no way, absolutely not. It just means like probably not. It's more probably not than probs not. It's just a way of tiering it. Don't think about it too hard. It's just a list. We're just having fun here. It's all my opinion. I can't wait for you guys to yell at me in the comments. Get ready to do that. It's gonna be awesome. Let's get started. So let's start with 3 houses, because that's the one that everybody knows, right? I think there are 2 possibilities from 3 houses to make it in as enemy rings. I considered putting Edelgard on here as well, but I figured if anything, she'll just be as a playable character ring. Maybe you'll recruit someone who has her equipped or something, but I don't think she'll really be an enemy ring. But first, Nemesis. I think Nemesis is a solid maybe. I think Nemesis is a solid maybe. He's very interesting as a character. And by very interesting as a character, I mean as a villain. Because as a character, he's not that interesting. He's just kind of there. But as a villain, he's like really menacing, ominous, has a history, cool stuff. I like that. And he's like you're like a barbarian man. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think there's a possibility for him being like an early game enemy ring, just because, again, barbarian man, and early game people are like, you know, bandits and brigands and stuff. I think there's one other one that's a little more likely than him to come in as a brigand ring, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I think he has a good chance. Actually, no, I'm going to put him to probs not. I think he's more of a probs not, but definitely not a no. All right, and the other one is Rhea. I think Rhea has a solid chance of coming in as an enemy. Probably similar to Nemesis in my mind. I could see her being the ring for some overzealous dragon person, you know? And that could work. That could work that way. Okay, now let's do FE4 next. Let's do FE4 next. That's I think this game has some interesting implications. I think the fact that they showed Sigurd in the original trailer to me kind of says that like FE4 is going to play some sort of major role, like the characters will. That could be totally wrong, and they're just showing Sigurd to make the old school fanboys, you know, swoon over his appearance. But there's a chance. I think Arvis is incredibly likely, actually. I have a hard time seeing a game where Sigurd is important to the plot in any way, and Arvis not showing up somehow. Arvis is just so integral to Sigurd's story and his identity that without him there, I feel like you're missing out on a large part of what makes Sigurd Sigurd. So don't spoil anything in the comments, and I'm sorry that I'm spoiling that Arvis is a villain. I think it's pretty obvious though, early on. But don't spoil a thing in the comments for people who haven't played FE4, because it's definitely worth seeing on your own. But yeah, I think he is very, very much gonna be in. I can't, if any of these are gonna get in, I want it to be Arvis. Maybe I'm just trying to will it into existence. All right, Trevant. I think is a solid. I'm gonna put him in a high probs not, because we need some sort of flyer for our enemies to have access to, right? A flyer ring, and I think Trevant just kind of fits the bill. I can't really think of any other major flyers except for one other one that we're going to talk about later. As far as enemies go, that'll get in. Like, especially that are like major enemies, right? I think Trevant really fits the bill there. I think Ishtar is a solid maybe. Ishtar's really popular in Heroes, to my understanding. She has some alts and stuff, right? So people like Ishtar. I mean, and people like the cute girl character, right? So of course she's gonna make it in. And she could totally be, you know, the ring to some person who like is sympathetic to your cause, but is still gonna fight you for some reason. You know, kind of like your Camus, but except a little softer than that. So yeah, Ishtar's getting in. Maybe. I think Julius is our first no. Julius, I think there are other characters that'll fill his role better than he could in Engage from other games. I think there's already some more Dark Dragon people that have a better chance of getting in than he does. He is probably one of my least favorite villains in the series too. So maybe it's just my own personal bias. I don't like him. I don't think he's interesting in any way. So I'm gonna say no to Julius. Okay, hear me out on this next one. Hear me out. Just please, hear me out on this one. I think Gandalf is likely. And most of you are saying, what the heck? That's not the White Wizard. That's not Gandalf the Grey. No, this is Gandalf the Brigand from FE4 chapters, the prologue in chapter 1. He is quintessential early game brigand to me. And if there's going to be some sort of big brigand boss in the early game at some point, this guy will be his partner. Bet. Maybe this is a bit of a reach, but it just makes sense in my head that we're going to get Gandalf in this game as a villain. As an early game villain, he's not going to be important, but he'll be there. Bet. And maybe not, who knows? Maybe it'll just be the first guy from FE1. I can't remember his name though. Alright. Eldigan, last FE4 character we'll talk about. I think Eldigan is a no. I want him to be a yes, because I think Eldigan is really, really cool. But I think there's other characters that fill his role that are more recognizable and will do just as good, if not better. So, kind of a similar thing where a game with Sigurd, it makes me sad not to have Eldigan in it, but he isn't as important to the plot as an Arvis. So, yeah. Sorry, one more FE4 character that definitely deserves mentioning is Manfroy. I don't think he'll get in, but because again, there's other characters that are similar to him that definitely fill the role better and are more recognizable. But Manfroy's, you know, your behind the scenes manipulator guy. I could see him being a ring for some, like the behind the scenes pulling the strings, making things happen kind of guy. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's do some GBA games, shall we? Let's do some GBA games. I think Zephiel is a strong maybe. I think Zephiel fills the role of big armored scary man that could be, you know, a mid-late game boss or something, you know, commander in an army. I think Zephiel kind of fits that role of scary military dude that we don't have on the list really yet. Yeah, and Zephiel to me is really memorable. He appears in 2 different games, which is cool, and his design's pretty sick. Maybe it's just me wanting to see him with a 3D model and see what they do with him, but I think he could be really cool. As far as other FE6 characters, I couldn't really think of anyone else that would have a good chance. The only one I thought of was like Gale could be cool as a villain, as another like flyer Camus archetype guy, but I don't know. Ultimately, I don't think it's much of a chance there. I do think Nurgle has a good chance of getting in though. Gotta get some more mage people on this list within the maybe and likely tier. Overall, by the end, there's not going to be. I don't know. There's quite a few mage villains in the series, aren't there? But I think Nurgle has a solid chance. FE7 is like super popular. Lynn's in the game. She's like, I don't know. It just makes sense to me to have someone like Nurgle make an appearance. Yeah, let's FE8. I think Valter has just as good a chance of Trevant, if not better than him, of getting in as a flyer representative. He is such a memorable enemy in FE8. He's so creepy and just like makes your skin crawl, right? I think he has a really good chance of getting in, actually. Leon, or Lion, however you say his name, I'm gonna say Leon. I think similar odds to the other main antagonist from the GBA games. All right, let's do Tellius characters next. I like the Tellius character picks here. Ashnard, I think again, I don't know what it is about the Tellius games, but I just don't think the characters are super memorable for a lot of people for some reason. For me, they are. I love them, but I think Ashnard is a probs not similar to Trevant. I think the Black Knight, which I also put him on the player side because he is a playable character as well, but I think the Black Knight's one of the most likely characters to get in. Definitely more likely than him, and probably more likely than Arvis. The Black Knight appears in 2 games. Not that means a ton, but he appears in 2 games, and he is just he is Ike's benchmark. You know, he is everything Ike does in Path of Radiance is to get stronger to surpass the Black Knight. And I understand, I mean, also to like liberate Crimea and all that, I get that. But he wants to surpass the Black Knight. And then in Radiant Dawn, when he finds out the Black Knight is alive again, all he wants to do is fight him again, right? It's crazy. That's like, it's Ike's motivation is the Black Knight more often than not. That's kind of cool. And the Black Knight is just really awesome. Everyone likes the Black Knight. Does anyone not like the Black Knight? If you don't, tell me why, because I would love to hear why you think he's bad. Black Knight's just cool. And his secret identity is really fun too, so, which heroes ruin, by the way. I hate that. I hate that. Izuka, I think is he's a no, but he is so interesting as a character, in that he's just so like comically evil, but somehow works his way in with the Dane royalty that he becomes, I don't know, he just becomes an important character that way. He starts off as a fairly like he's like a barely a face villain, you know, like he's there in Path of Radiance as an important-ish villain, but like only kind of for like a chapter, and then he's fleshed out to be this whole really like bad dude in Radiant Dawn, which is kind of cool. I would put him in no, but I would love it if he got in. I would love it if he got in. Ashera, see, Ashera is weird because she is like the main baddie, right, of Radiant Dawn, but it's also like, I don't know how I feel about like a goddess being a ring. I think that gets into some weird territory as far as the rings go, so I'm gonna say no on that one. And finally, Deginsia, I'm gonna put him in no as well. I would love it if Deginsia made it in. I mean, look at that mustache. Deginsia is dope, and he could be some more dragon representation, but I think we have plenty of that on this list anyway. We'll have plenty of that on this list anyways. So I love Deginsia. Hope he makes it in, but probably not. All right, Fate's characters, Fate's enemies. I think both Ryoma and Xander, whether they might just be as playable characters, but I think Xander especially has a good chance of showing up as a villain. I think they are solidly above no, but I don't think I can put them in maybe. I'll put them both in probs not. But I think if one gets in, they both have to. Anonkos, kind of a similar thing to Ashera, where I'm like, are they too godlike or something to get in? I'm not really sure about that. And Garen, King Garen, I think he's a maybe to me. I think he has a similar chance of getting in as like not Murdoch, sorry, Zephiel. So could be good, but probably not. He's a maybe. I know I keep saying like probably not for like higher ones, then maybe like probably not for like, I don't know. The tier names don't matter all that much, apparently. All right, let's do Awakening characters. I know this is Robin, but this is supposed to be Grima, because you know Robin is Grima, all that. I think Grima has a really good chance of getting in. And maybe like you kill the person, take the ring, and it's gonna be something like, oh, since you're a good person, I'm not Grima, I'm Robin, or whatever. So I think Robin / Grima is very likely. I think Valadar also is very likely. I think that guy in the trailer that puts the ring on, he looks like Valadar to me. So I think I could totally see his like main ring being Valadar. It just makes sense in my head. All right, Walhart. I think Walhart would have a decent chance of getting in if it weren't for one other character that we're going to talk about in a minute. So I'm going to put him in no. Gangrel, I'm going to put him in Probs Not. He's just such a memorable character that I feel like he deserves to be in Probs Not instead of no, but I can even see him in maybe. We'll put him there. And finally, he's such a memorable character to me personally, Cervantes, the mustache. I want him to get in. I could see, for similar reasons to like Gandalf that I talked about earlier, I think Cervantes is going to get in as a mid-game villain ring for some Armor Knight bro, or maybe even or something like that. I think it just works. I think Cervantes is like the perfect pick for something like that. Maybe I'm being hopeful, but it could be cool. I would love to see him get in. All right, let's do FE5 next. There are only 3 characters from FE5 I want to talk about here. Raedric. Sadly, I think he's probably a no. I want him to be up here in like the Probs Not area, because I would like it if he got in, but I don't think he will necessarily. You know what? I'm gonna put him in Probs Not. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put him in Probs Not next to like put him next to Ashnard. Yeah, I like that. Raedric's just cool. I like Raedric. I wish he wasn't like surprise, Veld's the bad guy, you know, this guy. Veld's a no for me. He's super lame. I maybe I just hope he doesn't get in, but yeah. Reinhardt. Yeah, come on. This like generic looking nerd. Look how generic his portrait looks in FE5. This generic looking nerd who is a boss in one chapter in FE5 and plays a very small story role, for some reason is one of the most popular characters in the franchise now because of freaking Heroes. He'll get in. Come on, he'll get in. I think Camus is very likely. I think Camus is very likely. If he doesn't get in, I would be massively surprised. He is quintessential, my pride is my country is my pride, and I'll defend it to the very last kind of guy. So yeah, Camus definitely likely in my mind. I think Hardin also has a greater than outside chance of appearing. Maybe he'll appear as a good guy, or maybe he'll. Here I have him as his like demon form, like his possessed form, and I think that's more likely, but maybe not. I think Medius is very likely to show up as another dragon representative. He is the very first enemy. Marth is in this game. We like Marth. We also remember Medius as like, you know, the big bad, right? I could see Medius making it in. I think Garnif is also likely. Garnif is a similar, you know how I said like Manfroy isn't getting in because there's someone else like him that does it better? Yeah, that is Garnif. Garnif is the pulls the strings behind the scenes guy, and it just works for him to be in this game. So yeah, Garnif's gonna make it in. All right, Heroes, I guess we'll talk about Heroes, whatever. I think Veronica has a better chance than you would think to get in, which is so dumb, but yeah, we're gonna put her there. I think she's greater than No. I think she has a better chance than like Gangrel. I think she has a better chance than a lot of these characters. Actually, I'm gonna put her like, you know, actually, you know what? I'm gonna put her in maybe. I think she has a solid chance. All right, last 2 characters from Echoes here. Let's talk about Duma. I think Duma's a no. I could see him getting in if Grima or Medius don't get in. I could see him taking their spot, but I think those 2 are going to get in. So I think Duma's a no. And finally, I think Rudolph from Echoes is a strong maybe up here with like Zephiel, Nurgle and stuff. I think he definitely fits the mold for similar thing to, you know, your Garen and Harden. Fill a similar role to like a fairly late game boss kind of ring character guy. So this is just my opinion. I know everyone's going to skip to the end and this is what they're going to see. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Do you think that this list is good at all? Do you think it's complete trash? Is there someone that I forgot that you think is definitely going to get in? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, please help us reach that 25,000 sub mark. I'd really appreciate it. And of course, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.